You think you know how change should be made, how your life should progress when you make a choice to stop something, to leave something behind you, to leave a relationship or whatnot. You really do think you know how you want it to happen, you know. And if you're extremely fortunate, maybe it might happen that way. But I think in most cases, it is nothing like that. It is a completely different way, a way that at times breaks your mind on purpose. Why am I still doing this thing? Why am I still going back to that situation or to that person? Or like, why does that keep happening? I'm choosing not to, I'm putting all my will into this other choice, this other way, this other life, or whatever the fuck it is, right? And yet again, you find yourself flipping and flopping and flipping and flopping and flipping and flopping, And I've been pondering this for a few years now. And it seems to be the way, It just seems to be the way of it. I think because we have so much momentum built up from those other choices, from the other ways that we're steering ourselves away from. That momentum, it seems, it can't just stop, and I use this analogy all the time of the cruise liner, or the cargo ship. It's picked a direction and it's got momentum and it's traveling through the ocean in that direction. And if it wants to decide to change direction, to go back the way it's coming, or to go, a completely different way, it doesn't just brake and turn. It has to calculate it. It has to slow down and again, start to turn the direction that it wants to go, allow the turn to complete, and then move forward in the direction that it wants to go next. And our lives are exactly the same as that, right? We are exactly the same as that. We are to allow that momentum to slow down, for our lives to start to turn, for our decisions in our mind to start to turn and turn and turn and turn, and then move forward in that other direction. And in that process, we give ourselves grace, hopefully, if we can remember to, and patience and compassion and kindness. And for those around you that are, also maybe choosing with you or are not choosing at all, and they're still in that direction that you were heading. And so you're pulling away from them, and occasionally that might pull back together as you continue to change direction. And so, having compassion for them and understanding, they might not understand why you're choosing not to do those things anymore or be with them anymore or participate or whatever, and that's okay, right? They don't need to understand. You don't need to explain yourself, right? You're an adult. You're a mature person. You're a human being, right? There's no need for explanation, but just, be mindful that they potentially don't understand what you're doing, right? You might not understand what you're doing half the time either, right? So how the fuck are you supposed to explain that to anyone else? And just ride that process out, ride that slow of momentum, ride the turn and the straightening up to the new direction, and then ride that, beginning of building up momentum again until you're, charging along in this new direction that you're choosing. And don't beat yourself up if you drop back into an old pattern or an old way of thinking, an old belief, an old thing, substance, what have you. It's all part of the process of turning around. Believe me, I've done this in many ways with many things. And then the reason why I'm sharing this, I was sitting there having tea this morning and I was just in this real beautiful place of peace and calm and happiness that seems to just be creating itself without me, really having to choose that that's the direction I want. That's the feelings that I want around me all the time. I began choosing that 7 years ago, right? Maybe more now. And I was sitting there this morning reflecting around having this tea, and I'm like, wow, it's just there. I don't have to will it. I don't have to affirm it. I don't have to choose it or remind myself or all these other ways that I was doing it. I was just sitting in this beautiful space on my own, drinking tea, looking around, thinking, wow, life is wonderful, you know? And then I was thinking back to all the crazy, crazy, fucking crazy shit I've gone through in turning myself around and changing direction in all the fucking ways that I have until now, and will continue to do so, and it's just like, there's nothing like I thought it was gonna be. Like fucking zero like I thought it was gonna be. But here I am, and it's fucking amazing. So be kind to yourself and keep choosing a different direction. Allow yourself to slow down in momentum. Allow for the change in direction. Allow for the beginning of the momentum to start up again, and just fucking go along for the ride. Just set your compass and go along for the ride. Take it as it comes, because it's a beautiful process. Namaste.